Okay, let's unpack this. We travel, right, to expand our perspective, to, deepen our compassion.
Mm.
And we see need. And our hands they instinctively reach into our bags to give something a granola bar,
Hmm.
maybe the extra hotel soap.
Sure, something small.
We do it because it feels good. It feels like the right thing.
Yeah.
But what if those simple acts of kindness, I mean, the ones driven by the best of intentions, actually land wrong? What if they cause harm?
That collision is exactly what we're looking at today. That gap between our, let's call them Western good intentions and the reality on the ground.
The reality of how generosity actually lands in a different cultural code.
Exactly. The source material we're diving into, When Compassion Turns Colonial, explores just that, how this sort of instant personal charity can shift the balance of dignity in some really negative ways.
It's a genuinely tough subject because it pushes back on something we're taught is a good thing. Direct giving is good.
A bedrock principle.
Yeah. So our mission for this deep dive is to sort of cut through that moral comfort and get a clear understanding of the cultural code of giving.
So you can move past that immediate relief of just doing something
Right.
and move towards something that's genuinely respectful, contextual help. This is about making sure your help actually helps, not just that it makes you feel better.
Let's start right there with that feeling of satisfaction. We are, I mean, we're fundamentally conditioned to believe that direct giving gives you this immediate moral uplift.
That little buzz.
Yeah, that gesture of handing over a packaged item. It feels personal, it's immediate, and the source says it literally soothes the ache in the giver's chest.
Mm.
We walk away feeling, well, morally okay.
And that feeling of moral satisfaction is precisely what the source says we have to be critical of. It asks us to recognize that often we're really just acting to make ourselves feel better, to sort of alleviate our own discomfort with seeing poverty.
Rather than actually addressing the recipient's real needs
Mm-hmm.
in a dignified way.
In a lasting way. So the gesture isn't neutral at all.
It's full of baggage.
It carries the weight of a power imbalance. And in many parts of the world, accepting visible charity, a charity you can see, carries a social meaning that we as travelers just completely miss.
It puts them in a role of dependency.
Instantly.
But, I have to ask the obvious question here.
Mm.
If someone is hungry, isn't a granola bar better than nothing? Isn't there a utilitarian argument that immediate help outweighs some abstract concern for pride?
And that is the exact tension, right? That's what the source explores. The answer is, well, it's complicated. Because the simple object isn't the only thing being exchanged. You're also exchanging power and judgment. In some cultures, accepting a visible handout isn't just humiliating, it can actually put them in physical danger.
Danger? How?
Well, think about it. If a tourist singles someone out for handout, especially money, that person instantly becomes a target.
Oh, I see.
They might be targeted by others on the street or by, organized networks that control begging in that area.
So my act of kindness could become a liability for them the second I walk away?
A huge liability. And on a larger scale, it reinforces this cycle where tourists are just expected to provide this instant relief, which is really rooted in pity, not in any kind of genuine connection.
That reframes the whole thing. I think I'm guilty of this, I've handed out dollar bills thinking I was helping. Reading this makes me realize how, condescending and maybe dangerous that was.
It makes the story from the source material, the one in South Africa.
Yeah.
It makes it so vivid.
Yes, this is where pity and pride just collide perfectly.
It's the perfect illustration of how good intentions can go wrong.
So, okay, picture the scene from the source. A tour group is leaving a luxury hotel. They've just had this massive, lavish buffet breakfast.
Mountains of food.
Right. And one woman, she's clearly operating on that strong impulse to do good. She starts collecting all the extras, rolls, muffins, fruit, pastries, and wraps it all up in a napkin.
She's seeing her own excess and someone else's perceived lack, and she's trying to solve that moral equation right there on the spot.
Exactly. She walks right up to a man sitting alone on the curb and, as the source puts it, without asking, without a word of context.
She just presses the food into his hand.
And says, "Here, this is for you." It was just this instantaneous high-pity transaction.
And the analysis of the man's response in the source is so insightful. It wasn't just, oh, thank you.
No.
It was a rapid cascade of emotions. You could see the surprise, then discomfort, a flicker of hurt pride.
Followed by what the source calls practiced gratitude.
Yes. He knew the script. He knew what was expected of him, even if the interaction felt, Deeply insulting.
And the key cultural insight here, which is so important for anyone traveling, is why that specific food from a hotel buffet
Yeah.
can be so disrespectful.
It's not just food. It's the provenance of the food. It's where it came from.
It's the message behind it.
It implies waste passed down a ladder. You, the tourist, had so much you could just scoop up leftovers and hand them down to someone who's clearly beneath you.
It's not generosity between equals.
No, it's the disposal of surplus. And that 10-second interaction creates what the source calls bad ripples. It can foster resentment, even tension between locals who get these handouts and those who don't.
So if that incident shows the failure of instinct, we need to talk about the broader principle here, that every culture has its own code for dignity.
A unique code for how need is acknowledged and how help is offered.
And the sources argue that when we act from improvisation, just doing what feels right to us, instead of from insight,
Understanding the local code.
it's just inherently risky. We end up interrupting systems we can't even see.
That's the great invisible harm, isn't it? It's fascinating how often tourists unintentionally undercut local long-term solutions.
Chasing that feeling of instant gratification.
Exactly. Seeing someone smile after a handout, while the established local charities are doing the slow, difficult, often invisible work of building real infrastructure.
So when we give those instant handouts, we're actually making a long-term, more dignified solutions less effective.
Absolutely. The source notes that visible handouts can seriously disrupt things. For instance, they can draw children away from school because begging from tourists seems to offer a faster payout.
Why go to a slow school program when you can get a quick snack or a few dollars?
Right. And then you have the immediate social consequences we talked about.
Becoming a target.
Yes, but the most crucial detail here, the silent message. That's the real poison. The core discomfort for locals isn't the gift itself.
It's the implicit judgment.
It's the silent sentence nobody wants written on their life. You look like someone who needs this. It instantly sets up a relationship of superiority, even if the giver thinks they're being humble.
To make this really clear for you listening, the source gives a fantastic breakdown of common tourist actions and how they're actually interpreted locally.
Yeah, this part is really eye-opening. Let's run through a few.
Okay, what about something that seems so harmless, like giving out leftover hotel soaps?
So, in the tourist's mind, they're preventing waste, providing hygiene. But the consequence in the local code is often that it's seen as pity or even judgment. It implies, you look dirty, and this is the basic thing you require.
It strips their dignity.
Completely.
Okay, what about handing snacks directly to children? That's incredibly common.
That's one of the highest risk actions. It provides, immediate calories, but the long-term consequence is dependency. It incentivizes kids to leave school or other support systems to seek out tourists.
The immediate reward undermines the long-term solution.
Always.
And giving money directly to beggars. That feels like the most direct help you can give.
The source material is very clear on this. It fuels organized begging networks. You're not helping an individual, you are often funding a system that exploits them.
So the tourist leaves feeling good, but they've just propped up the very system they wanted to fight.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the ultimate paradox. The action that feels the coldest, but might be the most respectful, declining to give anything at all.
It might be seen as cold, yes. But if we're prioritizing dignity, safety, and the long-term health of the community, standing back may be the most ethical response.
It preserves the person's dignity and doesn't interrupt those unseen support systems.
Understanding really does what good intentions alone cannot.
This is such a powerful shift in perspective. So if we accept this, that compassion without context is dangerous, how do we, as travelers, actually shift from acting on impulse to acting with informed generosity?
The key is slowing down, shaping our kindness by the culture we're in, not the one we came from. And the source gives 3 really simple, actionable steps for that.
Okay, the first step is pause.
Exactly. Before your hand goes into your bag, just notice the situation. Don't react to your own discomfort. Take 3 seconds to observe.
See the context.
Right. Is the person working? Are they part of a group? Are they a child? Just pausing introduces that necessary friction into your impulse.
Okay, and the second step is ask.
Never assume you know the solution. Quietly check with a local guide, a hotel manager, someone you trust in the community. Ask what's respectful, what's safe, what's genuinely needed.
They're the experts on their own cultural code.
Of course. Asking stops you from imposing your solution on their context.
And the third step, which is where the real impact is redirect.
Redirect your generosity. away from that individual momentary transaction and toward the local organizations, cooperatives, or shelters that are already there and understand the community's needs.
They're the ones working on sustainable solutions.
They're not chasing the tourist's instant moral reward. They're doing the slow, complex work of addressing the real issues.
Can you give us a more specific example of what redirection looks like? I mean, beyond just donate locally.
Certainly. So instead of giving money to a child on the street, redirection might mean you find a local vocational training center and donate there. Or you purchase goods from a women's cooperative that uses fair trade principles.
So you're supporting dignified economic exchange.
Exactly. Buying a woven bracelet from a street vendor for a fair price. That's a high-dignity transaction. Handing that same vendor your protein bar, that's a low-dignity handout.
That completely changes their relationship, doesn't it? One makes you a customer, the other makes you a superior.
The difference is agency. The most powerful gesture, the source argues, can just be acknowledging someone with genuine warmth and respect without presuming you know what they need.
So what does this all mean for us? The main lesson from this deep dive seems to be that kindness isn't universal in its form. It's local in its expression.
That's a great way to put it.
What feels generous in Vancouver might feel condescending in Cape Town. What seems compassionate in Toronto might feel intrusive in Johannesburg.
Travel humbles us. It forces us to rethink the version of kindness we've always carried. It challenges that deep-seated belief that direct giving is automatically the best form of help.
So the real takeaway is that the truest help begins not with our hands and that immediate, emotionally satisfying charity.
But with our willingness to understand the context we're in, that understanding is what preserves dignity.
Which raises an important question for you, the listener, to take away from this. If we apply this lesson about slowing down, questioning our assumptions, and preserving dignity to our travels, what assumptions about help do we carry in our own local communities right here at home that we need to stop and question?